Again, I'll record this. Okay, everybody click the consent to come back in.
Yes.
We're good. We're good. Amy found it. Okay.
Yes, record.
All right. Next test seems like it's coming quick, but it'll be next Wednesday, not in 2 days, but a week from 2 days, so 9 days from now. It'll be on chapters 5 and 9. Chapter 9 is a short one. It's what we'll be covering today and Wednesday. It's sections 9.2 and 9.3. So the next test is Wednesday, April 15th. Questions on anything, folks? I'm hoping that those of you who didn't do 5.2, it was just a lack of effort and not a lack of understanding. I wasn't getting many questions, so I'm kind of thinking that may be what it was.
It was a lack of understanding for me.
Yeah.
Though I did get help from the tutoring center for the weekend.
Sure. Did you understand 5.1, Raymel? How that was laid out and how you had to create the methods?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay, good.
The
good.
methods simply are just smaller pieces of one big piece.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I missed to upload 5.1, but 5.2, it took me a while to do it.
Is this Bishel?
Yep.
Bishel, by the way, you uploaded your .class file for 5.2, not
really?
the .yeah. So you're going to send that to me, okay?
Okay, I'll send it to you.
Yeah. I figured it was just a slip, and that happens quite a bit.
Yeah, it took me a lot of time to do that program. Like I didn't expect it. Like I'll put some.
I agree with Bishal here that the assignment was very long to finish. Like it took me to like from 11 a.m. to around 4 p.m.
Okay. It didn't take me long. It only took me about half an hour, and I was done.
How?
I know what I'm doing. So sometimes.
Okay.
I was going to say, that's no fair. You're the teacher. You know how to do it.
Yeah.
I wish it would be the same for everybody, all of us.
Yes. Yes, I wish it was the same.
Yep. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got like the whole program. I like just we work like me and my other friends. We work to like develop our these programs like this homework, and we were like messaging, "Hey, I got this," or "How do you solve it?" This and that. It was frustrating, but like we made it.
Yes. Well, I mean, when you start breaking it down, the input part should have been fairly easy. And then you start saying, well, I need to call a method for this. So hopefully when you walked through the layout, that's where you got started. And then, it was probably at the moment the hardest program we had. I know if you remember back when we did the shipping charges program, at that moment, that was the hardest program we had. So it's, you're getting your money's worth out of this class.
I'm hoping it paid off because I got an 80 out of 100 on that.
Yeah. As long as you're understanding what's going on to move on. And like I said, we'll find out next Wednesday at the test. So, all right, let's jump into chapter 9. We're only covering 2 sections. What we cover in 9.2 and 9.3 is going to be enough for you to do the assignment for chapter 9. One of the things I always say is, today, you should be reading what the assignment wants you to do. So as we're going through and we're talking about stuff in this chapter, you make notes to self. Oh, I can use this in the program. Oh, I can use that in the program. And it's going to help out quite a bit. So section 9.2 is called the character class. We're going to work with our charge. We're going to look at methods that are written to help us manipulate characters. And my first note that I have is this is like the math class, because remember in the math class, we would put the word math and then we would follow it with the method name like math.pal. And then we would send in some arguments like 2, 3. And remember, they would get passed into. So this .pal is a method, just like the methods you were writing in chapter 5. Okay, it's all stored in something called math. And when we get to chapter 6, and that'll be next Monday. When we get to chapter 6, you'll see how we're going to take our methods and go store them somewhere. Okay, but for now, we had this math class, and we have all of these methods stored there that'll do work, like pal 2, 3, and it returned a value that we had to store somewhere. So the character class is going to behave the same way. We are going to be taking a look at a bunch of different methods in the character class, and whenever we want to invoke them or whatever, call them, we're going to, instead of just like we did with math.pal, we're going to put character dot something. Okay, and as you went through these code listings in the first, you noticed that there were quite a few. One example was the very first table. And whenever you're reading the book, going through the book, I always say tables are good and bulleted items are good. This guy has a method to his madness, and it's what I like. And if you happen to look at the first table that was on page 558, it was table 9.1, you're going to see a whole group of methods that are stored in the character class. These methods all actually have the same return type. They have a return type of Boolean. And what we're going to do is we're going to say character dot, and we're going to take one of these like is digit, which is one of the methods in the character class. It needs an argument, and most of the time we're just going to send in a character, might be stored in CH. So we would have something like character dot is digit CH, and we're going to return it to some Boolean, like a T or F. I'm create a Boolean variable T or F because I know it's going to return a true. So what will happen? CH is my argument. It'll get passed in, and if it is a digit being 0 through 9, it'll return true. If not, it would return false. And table 9.1 has quite a few of these Boolean returning, they all return true or false, methods in the character class. Is digit, is letter or digit. Kind of nice, somebody wrote that for us and combined them. We have the is lowercase, is uppercase. Those two are good. We have is space char, and another one called is white space. And a white space is a whole bunch of different things, not just a regular space, but it's carriage return, tabs, several different things like that. Questions up to this point? Now let's, almost forgot to leave a section. I'm going to switch my camera, and I'm going to start taking a look at code listing 9.1, and I don't see it. Give me 1 second.
Character taste.
There it is. Now I want to go and I want to get back to my Zoom meeting and share screen. And where is it? There it is. Share. Okay. All y'all can see? Okay. Up at the beginning of the code listing, I'm looking for any special new import statement. The only one that's in there is javax.swing. It's in there for my J option panes, so for my input and output. This program says input equals J option pane, show input dialog. Now remember, input is a string, so the first thing I do in line 19 is I say character equals input dot char at 0. So now I'm dealing with a character. My question I ask, if character dot is letter of ch. So I'm calling the is letter method. I'm passing in that character. It's going to return or true or false. So if character dot is letter ch, meaning is it a letter, and then we follow it with a simple J option pane that it is a letter and display that.
May I ask something?
You just
So if
did.
you were to,
Yes.
okay. So if you were to put it like a number 4 in that kind of,
So if you ran it and inputted a number 4, go ahead.
you would get false.
So you would say, is it a letter? It would be false. So line 24, the J option pane would not execute. Now, if you go down to line 28, where it says if character dot is digit ch, it returns what, Raymel?
A number.
Well, no,
A digit.
It's going to return true in line 28.
I mean, it's returned true.
And so it would display that this is a digit. And you also see there's a couple of more if statements. If character dot is lowercase, so in order to call any one of these methods, I have to call the character class just the same as I did with the method class. Questions? Okay.
What does white space mean?
It's several different things. It's a regular space. It would be a carriage return. It would be a tab. So there's a bunch of things in there that you don't see that will come up as a white space.
Oh, okay, now I got you.
Okay. Next code listing was 9.2, and 9.2 all of a sudden jumps into a little bit more, because in 9.2 we ask the user, and it says, this program tests a customer number to verify that it is in the proper format. All of a sudden I'm thinking, wait a minute, customer number, I read assignment 9.1, I bet I can get some stuff out of this. All right, so what's going on? We input a string. We're looking for the string to be 3 letters and 4 numbers. And what do? I take that string, and in line 20, I say, if is valid input, which means I'm going to take that string and pass it to a method called is valid. And is valid is either going to return a true or a false. So let's take a look at what's going on down in my method is valid. Okay, I have a Boolean that says good so far equals true. It's called a flag. So I'm thinking that good so far is going to be what I return. And if I look at the bottom, yes, good so far is what I'm going to return. Now, in this method, if something goes bad, I'm going to change good so far to false so that it returns false. And as you can see, what are the 3 things I'm testing for? First thing is I want to make sure the length is 7. So I have the line 50 that says if customer number, which is my parameter, it came in my method heading. I have string customer number. That's what's being passed in. If I check its length and it's not equal to 7, my good so far becomes false. Take a look at line 54. I now have a loop that's going to run through 3 times. So I is 0. It says, wow, I is less than 3. So it's going to check 0, 1, and 2. If not character dot is letter. So again, I'm using that char at to work with the string, and I want to check to see if it's a letter. Did you have something, Nahal? No, he's good. So that first loop in line 54 is going to check locations 0, 1, and 2 in my string to see if they're letters. And if one of them isn't, then I change good so far to false. Down in line 62, right now I is at 3. So 62 goes, I is less than 7. So right now, starting at 3, I'm going to check 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I want to check to see if each one of those is a digit. So what am I doing? I'm looping through a string, being able to, by using char at, look at it a character at a time. Hopefully you're tucking this away so that when you start doing 9.1, pieces of code listings help you write programs. Questions on 9.2 using some of these character methods. Okay, let me go find 9.3. 9.3 is called circle area. Circle area. Before we get into 9.3, I wanted to draw attention again to table 9.2, because in table 9.2 it has 2 other methods that are in the character class. And remember, we can Google Java character class methods and we could get a whole list of them, more than just the 7 or 8 or 9 that are in the book. But all the different methods that we could use from the character class. What's in table 9.2? First one is to lowercase. It brings a character in. The second one is to uppercase. It brings a character in. So the character coming in the first one, to lowercase, if it is an uppercase, it's going to turn it into a lowercase. Anything else it doesn't care about. If it's already lower, it ignores it. If it's a number, it ignores it. If it's a special character, anything else is ignored. But to change it to the lowercase, first thing it's going to do is check to see if it's an uppercase. And then its return type, this time, instead of being true or false, is actually a new character. Questions on those 2 methods, to uppercase and to lowercase. It helps us do conversions. Code listing 9.3. So might be one that you add to your arsenal. It doesn't do much, but part of what it does is it asks you to, would you like to run again? And if the user types yes, yeah, capital Y, lowercase y, what it does is it takes your choice of whatever's typed in, and in line 57 it says choice equals input.char at 0. So it gets it, getting the first letter, which is now it's going to be a Y. It's either going to be a capital Y or a lowercase y. And then in the while statement, it says character dot to uppercase, that choice. So just in case it was a lower, it now converts it to an upper and compares it to the character single quote Y single quote. That way it's a run again option that keeps me going, but it's made a whole lot simpler in that we don't have to check to see what crazy choices the user may have put in. Okay? Questions? Comments? Complaints? All right, so what I need you to do now is, the first thing I want is, let me change my camera, stop share, camera. I'm going back to my paper. And the first thing I want you to do is write a program that will change a word. And what do I want to do with this change? I want to change uppercase to lower and lower to upper. Okay, so I'm starting to think about this. So an example would be if I had capital H-I, capital M-O-M, hi mom, it would convert it into lowercase h, capital I, lowercase m, capital O, capital M. So my first question, does everybody understand what I want you to do? Good. Now, how am I going to do it? Well, the first thing I think I need to know is, how long is my string, right? How long is my word? So some questions I'm asking myself. How long? Means I got to find the length. Then I'm going to need a loop to go through it one character at a time. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to get the capital H, and I want to turn, if it is an upper, then I want to turn it to a lower. If it's a lower, I want to turn it to an upper. And once I do it, I need to store it somewhere. So what I'm going to do is make the changes inside of this loop and store in a string. And then I can output the string at the end. So I have test case here. Hi, Mom. First thing I need to do is I need to figure out how long it is. I need a loop to go through it one character at a time. And I need to check. If it's an uppercase, turn it into a lower and add it to the string. If it's a lowercase, turn it to an upper and add it to the string. Anything else, I would just add it to the string. So if there was an exclamation at the end of hi, Mom, I would still have the exclamation at the end of hi, Mom. Are y'all thinking on that? Yeah? No? Maybe? Okay. Second program I'm going to have you write. This program, I want you to input a string, a nice long string, and I want you to tell me how many words. So if I typed in 7 years ago, how would you be able to tell how many words there are?
You'd count the white spaces?
Yeah. Well, be careful.
Or just the spaces?
Yeah. So if I look at this sentence, how many words, I notice there's 2 spaces in it. So if I went through this whole thing a character at a time and I counted the spaces, at the end I would add 1 and I'd know how many words there were. So here's number 1, change a word. Here's number 2, input a string. I'm going to throw you in groups of, how about groups of 3 today? Does that sound good? 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14. We have 14. One of the groups is only going to have 2. So you'll have the last half the class to work on these programs using character methods.